Oh, what is going on, everybody? Happy Canada Day, folks.
Someone did that? Yeah.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful.
This is originally how it was intended to be played.
I think so, yeah. I think John Canada originally wrote it to be played on air horns.
As we all know, the author of O Canada and the founder of Canada,
Yes.
John Canada.
John Canada, yes.
That's historically accurate.
Yeah.
Wanted it to be air horns, but technology wouldn't permit at the time.
Just the technology wasn't there. He had a vision in his head.
Who made this? Is it the same guy that makes the other ones?
No, this is a different guy. I had to track this one down.
To Tyler, the fight doctor, do the legwork to find the air horn rendition of O Canada.
It's Canada Day, man. I had to do
That's
something.
the kind of quality that you can only expect from this program. I'm going to tell you something. You're not going to get that anywhere else.
Oh, the gunshot killed me.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Damn, son. Always like the DJ drops going in there, too. And
so
Malachi jumping in early. Wayne Gretzky, best Canadian athlete. I mean, can't really dispute that. He's the great one.
Yeah. So that was a shout out to our...
Check it in, which is a nice little segue. I do want to talk a little bit about West Ham. Suck it, Chelsea. Go and try to win the FA Cup, but boom, Lampard still can't beat West Ham. What's up? 0-2, son.
Cannot beat West Ham. West Ham looking like they actually cared today.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I didn't get to see any of the game. I saw some of the highlights, but they looked a little bit more cohesive. But probably, hopefully, honestly, at this point, more desperate, more like, oh yeah, we actually need to win, or else we won't be in the league. So please continue to play that way. That'd be really good for me and Tyler. Just not going totally insane. If you drop out of the league, that would really suck. And I do want to get to Daniel as well. The J.R. Smith experience is real. Let's go. Big show. Getting fired up. Anyway, Tyler, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. It's, West Ham won today. That was good. All in all, having a good day. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Got home at a reasonable hour, even though it was extremely busy at the bank, but time to set up. And I did want to mention to you guys, it's a refreshing change of pace because I'm usually really up against the clock to lay everything out. I do some work in the morning before I go to work, and then kind of get everything in here before, or right before the show, as we kind of discuss ideas and things throughout the day. But Friday is going to be a very interesting experience because I will be on the road. We will call this the Quarantine Kings Road Show. I'll be doing it from the passenger seat of my car as we are driving somewhere on the 5 freeway. I would assume, like I was telling Tyler, we'll be somewhere around maybe Orange County at that time, and I will be trying to run and produce the entire show from my phone. So, again, it's a free-for-all Friday. Definitely call in. I want to see what's going to happen anyway, just by doing it on the phone. But as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be some kind of crazy mess, but hopefully it'll be fun. And we always want your calls, especially on Friday. So let's see what happens, and, let's just get weird with it.
It's going to be weird.
It's going to get real weird. You have no idea. But as Daniel already jumped in, that's more of a Laker news, but it's a little segue over to the NBA there.
Yeah, it's all good.
I did want to talk a little bit about this NBA bubble as details start to come out and it starts to sort of congeal into this is actually going to be the plan. People are going to be there. This is sort of how it's going to go. Brian Windhorst actually on ESPN came out. He was talking about it yesterday, and different people sourcing him or different reports from other sources are sort of laying out what this thing is actually going to cost between putting all the teams up there, the medical staff, all this stuff. And as of right now, the estimates are that this is going to cost $150 million to run this bubble. So that is going to be interesting. And again, as we've said this whole time, the sanctity of the bubble has not been confirmed yet. We don't even know like what's going to happen if people leave or come back in or bring other people in that aren't, cleared. I've heard a lot of people say, relative to the other sports, maybe with the exception of the NFL, NBA security is pretty legit as far as what their outlay is for this thing. So it might be tough to get in there. But I still think there's going to be some, cracks there where people or things make it into the bubble. And, God forbid someone contracts COVID during that time. And then what do they do? But $150 million. So the NBA is kind of, the TV money is going to be there. And I think just as far as saving face, you're already at the point of the playoffs, basically, when the whole thing shut down. Just having the continuity of finishing out the season in whatever format they could put together will be a good look for them. I think they're sort of, financially going to take it on the chin a little bit here, but
sure,
pretty incredible cost associated with doing this. But you have to think logistically, it was always going to be up there, So I don't know if you had seen any of that, Tyler. I know originally the thing I saw from Windhorse was $1.5 million a day. So I'm guessing, over roughly 100 days. That's where they come up with this $150 million figure. But I don't know if you've looked into that at all or any thoughts you have on it.
No, I hadn't seen the number until you told me about it beforehand. But it makes sense. Like you're looking at just looking at hotels, because they're taking up 3 of Disney's best hotels on their resort. So you got that right there. You're going to have all kinds of medical staff there. You're going to have, of course, NBA officials are going to be there. Then renting out 3 buildings to do this on top of. Although I don't know if it's going to be TNT and ESPN providing the camera staff, or if the NBA has to cover part of that. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But that number, as big as it is, it's like it kind of makes sense for how long they're going to be there and how expensive everything's going to be. So, I hadn't heard that number, but $150 million. I don't know what NBA's TV contract pays out. I imagine it pays out pretty well considering they're pretty high draw on TNT and ESPN. But yeah, they'll definitely be taking it on the chin a little bit. But I think ultimately it's for the for the long term. It's for the best they do this. They keep the fan interest involved.
The greater good.
The greater good. Yes, I would say that, and I would have somebody repeat it.
The greater good.
But yeah, again, it's a huge number. It's not all that surprising when you think about everything that goes into it. And again, I don't even know how much medical staff they're going to have on site with 22 teams and league officials and referees, all things like that. So I think just having the cost of an appropriate staff alone on site is going to be huge on that. Let alone taking up 3 of Disney's premier hotels on their resort.
And also, we've already mentioned before on the show, don't forget that part of this whole arrangement was they are, apparently going to fulfill the regional sports network obligations and the contract money that comes with that. So, some of that's going to offset. I think even if they take a loss here, as most businesses are in this situation, this is an unprecedented thing that's happening. It's more of it'll be a better look in the long run that they were able to work this out and put something out there, finish off the season as best they could, and just kind of see how it plays out. There's still going to be obviously speed bumps along the way, I'm sure, with all these other leagues coming back, but they seem to be moving forward. They're pretty much on board with the financial obligation that we just discussed, that this is going to cost us a lot, but we're committed to trying to play this thing out. So kudos to them.
Yeah, and now they'll have J.R. Smith there. That's it's just going to drive costs up even more, man.
That's I don't know. NBA security might have to ramp up a little bit if J.R. Smith is there. Who knows what he's capable of? Whipping bowls of soup at people, sneaking out, I don't know, for a late night bike ride. But that's my guy, J.R. Smith. And don't try to loot,
Hey.
smash his windows. You don't play around with that.
No, definitely don't do that.
Yeah, that would be a bad decision. Wish I had a drop of the NBA Jam announcer. Bad decision.
Bad decision.
And then just play it right before the clip of J.R. Smith just kicking the crap out of that kid and trying to smash his windows.
He had what was coming to him.
But I don't think we'll swerve over because we didn't get a chance to talk about it on Monday. Cam Newton, as most of you know now, is going to the Patriots for pretty much a song. I mean, for almost nothing. This is a guy that was the MVP of the league 5 years ago. Yes, he's had some injury problems. Obviously, no one knows how that is going to play out going forward. But shoot, I mean, if it was between Stidham and you're in the post-Brady era, but you still have a very capable defense. The Bills are there, obviously. They've been on the rise for a little while, but the Dolphins maybe a little bit coming up. The Jets pretty much at sea, as always, as the Jets are. If you have the opportunity to add a guy like Cam Newton, which I have a tweet here from Lock and Fora. Like I said, this is pretty much nothing for a player of that caliber, provided, again, he could stay on the field. 1.5 or 1.05 base salary, and only $550 is guaranteed at signing. There are a lot of incentives. Obviously, that's probably what ultimately made the deal happen. But shoot, I mean, why not take a flyer? It's not. I wouldn't even really say it's totally a flyer on Cam Newton at this point. Adding him to a team like that that's so well organized and always pretty competitive for really the last 20 years, I think the Patriots pretty much got a sweet deal on this thing.
Yeah, I mean it's a Belichick special. It's take somebody that for whatever reason teams don't want him anymore, whether it's attitude or it's breaking down, their numbers are falling. Belichick's like come on cheap, and usually he gets good results out of them. I mean I've got in my notes here my prediction now that Cam is on the Patriots. The numbers I have written down here are 6,000 passing yards, 60 touchdowns, 2,200 rushing yards, and 30 rushing touchdowns. So
that's a lot.
That's kind of you take that to the bank.
Take that to the bank. That's Tyler's Stone Cold Lock of the week. I wish I had
of the century.
Of the century.
But I mean, like you said, it's worth the shot. I mean, because worst case scenario is just spent guaranteed $500,000 on somebody that doesn't work out, and that's worst case scenario. Best case scenario is he finds his stride again and start showing that MVP stuff. But when this happened, you had told me what you thought the actual purpose of this was, and I think you're right, because the Patriots just recently recently lost their third-round draft pick because of the scandal of them filming the sidelines of a Cincinnati Bengals practice.
The same day, actually. And that morning, the punishment was handed down, and then that evening, it was announced they signed Cam Newton. So
right, and the thing with Cam is they get a third-round compensatory pick if they release Cam Newton, correct?
Yeah, if they release him or if he becomes a free agent. So this could just be a long-term Belichick, screwing us all again deal. Who knows?
He loves those post first round picks. So third round, that's right in his wheelhouse.
And I think actually it was in the bottom of that tweet from Lock and Fora too.
There we go.
Patriots get a former MVP for less than many paid backup offensive linemen. So again, he's just out there, like Belichick's going to pounce on that at some point, and he made it happen. So obviously, as a NFL fan, I wish the Patriots would finally fall off, but now who knows? They've got a stable of pretty capable running backs that pretty much just rotate in there. It's like a committee back there. They have a good defense always. So this could be something that becomes very disastrous for the rest of the NFL if this works out like how Belichick planned.
Yeah, I can only imagine AFC East fans were, cheering when Tom Brady left, and now they see this, and it's like, oh, damn it.
Checking your phone? Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I mean, Belichick stayed Belichicking, so he got
Yeah,
over on
that's what he
everyone
does.
again. At this point, I mean, they haven't played any games yet, but this looks like he
It,
comes
it,
out smelling like a rose again on this deal.
it just is crazy, like how nobody seemed to really want Cam and how little money he signed for. Because it's like, as a Chargers fan, I would take Cam Newton right now over what the Chargers have. I mean, maybe Herbert's the quarterback of the future, but I would take Cam over Tyrod Taylor right now. I'll say that.
Well, and you have to think too, as far as Cam, like he's never going to be more motivated than he is right now after everyone basically just
Right.
passed on him. This could even be like
Right.
a little, I'll take a little money now for like a show me year, and then go somewhere else and get my next big paycheck. So I think he's got everything to gain and nothing to lose as far as Belichick's concerned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially that third round, compensatory pick. I know he's
he loves them third round picks.
He's looking at some guy from the Citadel right now. That's a freshman. Like, definitely, I'm gonna get that guy. This guy's a star.
That's right. Hey, look at this long snapper from Kennesaw Valley State.
You bastard, Belichick. So I do.
Oh, speaking of bastards, I think you got this friggin' guy, right?
I do have this friggin' guy. Very nice segue. Speaking of bastards. Robbie Manfred has done it again.
Oh boy!
Even with baseball apparently back on the road, I know the Dodgers reported back to the Dodger Stadium today. They're going to start working out on Friday, and similar situation around the league as far as guys getting back together for workouts as they start to ramp up to actually play games. But big Rob Manfred was on Dan Patrick's show today and basically said, well, actually, I'll show you what he literally said. He said that, Yahoo Sports says out loud what many thought was true all along. MLB was never intending to play more than 60 games anyways in 2020, which means several things. First of all, being that this could have probably got done quite a while ago. And,
a lot quicker,
yeah. If the 60 games was always going to be pretty much what it was, then the money should have been such a huge deal. And also, how do you say that in the face of there's probably going to be a grievance anyway? And this is just like, the union council lawyers are just like, did he really say that? Like, oh, we're going to win for sure. Like, we got this thing in the bag, baby. Because this just further lets you know, like, this was never done in good faith by the owners.
Lets you further know.
Further know what it is. You really do, Rob Manfred, which is nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I mean, if that was the case, like you said, there's obviously the whole issue of, like, this was so much negotiations over what was ultimately nothing. Like, it was going to be a not an issue because they just weren't going to budge on that. But then, yeah, it's like the players, all indications have been the players' union will be filing a grievance for bad faith, which the whole arguments have been in bad faith this whole time. And now Rob Manfred just outright basically confirms that these arguments over games and dates, like, they had no plan on budging on that anyway. So what was the point of arguing?
Well, and we're talking about, slick Robbie Manfred here, so he may have just said it off the cuff, not realizing the implications there. But assuming that is true, I'm sure there was a lot of owners that was like, dude, why did you say that? Please don't say that. Why did you have to say that? But assuming that's true, that means not only did the haggling about the money not have to take this long, you also could have started probably a month or even a month and a half ago, played the 60 games, and then you won't end up in the deep winter when everyone's worried about the virus spreading more. Like, we could have had this thing underway and going. So there's so many terrible, terrible things to take away from this from Rob. I mean, every time he opens his mouth, his foot just flies right into it. So, again, I don't know. It's just like he can never say anything that's actually like, oh, that was, well-reasoned and measured response to what's going on. He's just perpetual ball dropper, like we said. And as
Yeah,
Callan mentioned too, not only that, he, acts the entire minor league season. Again,
right.
sweet look for the leader of all baseball. And real quick to Sarah. Hola, chicos. Thank you, Sarah, for watching, as always.
Thanks, Sarah.
But sorry, Tyler, I don't want to cut you off there. I just want to get to the comments.
No, that's fine. I'm always down for viewer comments. Yeah, it's so frustrating because I mean we've said this a million times, and everybody said. I know I've heard Callan say this. I've heard everybody on TV say this. Is baseball could have done so well by being the first sport back, and now this was just an unnecessary thing that delayed them from being, back, having all the. I mean, again, you put it all the time. Like look at how good the UFC's done, NASCAR's done, because they're the first sports back on TV, so everybody's going to watch it. Like,
and imagine
baseball
being the first
been
team sport, like
right, exactly,
more.
yeah. They could, yeah, they would have been the first Big Four sport back, and now it was just continued bad faith negotiations that were leading nowhere, anyways, and it delayed them to now they're going to have to compete. The start of their season is competing with playoffs for hockey and basketball. Like, they could have avoided a lot of this.
And the basketball bazillion-dollar bubble complex too. I don't,
Yeah.
Baseball already said they're broke, right? That's what you guys said. So come on.
Yeah, baseball has no money, man. It's it's in Bill's house and Fred's house.
And as the wave of hate comes in for Rob Manfred, as it should, Daniel chimes in, why is Manfred still the commissioner? Ooh. Baseball gate. Hashtag baseball gate.
Because he's made the owners money. Because he's been making the owners money, and that's all they care about.
And then the Baron coming in hot, calling him this century's Gary Bettman. Gary Bettman's
pretty impressive
in this century.
Pretty impressive when Bettman's still here, yeah.
Yeah.
Gary Bettman, who's
spinning in his grave. He's spinning in his grave.
He's Gary Bettman, who does try to, did recently try to remind people that he's a terrible commissioner with probably fixing the NHL draft. But
but Manfred's still out there, one step ahead with the ball dropping.
Yeah, we might as well just change this freaking guy to the Rob Manfred Award.
I mean, he's definitely by far the leader in the clubhouse. Like, if he doesn't win again, he might be the all-time leader of this entire show, no matter what. But I'm sure he
doesn't have the most egregious thing. I mean, I still think that goes to our, wine truck heist guy. But he's continually out there, man. He's always looking to get in.
Showed ambition with what he did.
He did.
He had a
creativity
plan. He was trying to get a sandwich, and they kept releasing him from jail.
It worked to get him in jail. He didn't get a sandwich, but
he didn't get the sandwich though. But I mean, he was trying. He was thinking outside the box. Manfred is just tripping over his own feet every time he opens his mouth. It's pretty much unreal at this point.
Yeah.
So maybe just why don't you go away? Just get a horse, live in a mountain somewhere. Don't bother anyone.
He's got a personality of a dead moth.
Dead moth.
Well, speaking of people tripping over their own feet, I do also say, as well as being Canada Day, this is also a special holiday, maybe not to Mets fans, but to the rest of baseball fans. I do want to wish everybody a happy Bobby Bonilla Day, especially to Mr. Bobby Bonilla himself.
That's right. Mr. Bobby B. Still cashing in on the Mets. For those of you that don't know, he had a crazy deferred deal, also an 8% interest, that means that he will get paid on July 1st, $1.19 million every July 1st until 2035. He'll be 72 years old at that time, which is incredible.
Yeah. So he was with the Mets in 1999. They released him, but they still owed him $5.9 million, and he agreed to say, "Hey, look, let's defer this out. You don't have to pay me the first payment until 2011." So he waited over a whole decade, but from 2011 to 2035, he's getting paid $1.19 million every July 1st. And the Mets owner at the time, actually, is Wilpon still the owner? I'm not even sure. But the owner of the Mets, Fred,
trying to slide in there, dude. A-Rod wants a piece.
Could be A-Rod and J-Lo. Who knows?
But
cool. So the owner of the Mets, Fred Wilpon thought this sounds like a great idea, especially because at the time he was, he was working with somebody else on this investment thing that he thought was going to be he was going to get a 10% return on this, which was going to negate the 8% 8% interest deal to Bobby Bonilla, and of course in the ultimate Mets move, that person that he was working with in the investment turned out to be Bernie Madoff, who got into a little bit of trouble in 2008 for running a Ponzi scheme. So nice job there, Wilpon. That's a pretty Mets move, man.
That's the ultimate Mets move. I like the thinking there of like, man, I don't like that 8%, but this Madoff guy, I mean, he seems legit. He's like a straight shooter. I like this guy. So, all right, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah. We call him Kentucky Bernie. He's he's a trusty guy.
Kentucky Bernie. Yeah. Bernie Slim.
But I also found out today, just kind of looking into this, that Bobby Bonilla may actually be the most brilliant mind as far as coming up with sports contracts, because not only does he have his deferred payments for the Mets, I found out he actually also gets paid $500,000 every year from the Orioles because of a deferred contract that he agreed on. That payment it's $500,000 a year every year on July 1st from the year 2004 to the year 2029.
Bobby B is pretty much set for life.
Get paid a lot of money to not play baseball, which that is pretty sweet. And actually, another thing I did see about the Mets contract is Bobby Bonilla will be getting paid by the Mets longer than Bryce Harper is getting paid by the Phillies.
That is correct, as Callan also pointed out.
There we go.
There we go. Because Bryce Harper's contract itself is such an albatross that it's amazing that Bobby Bonilla still wins. Also, I wanted to pull up another funny tweet that I saw. This is from the Undefeated. Bobby Bonilla at midnight on July 1st, and then when the check hits. All right, cool, we're good. Just want to make sure it was still there. But yeah, Mets never change. Never change, Mets.
Never change. That's just like that's insane foresight. Like, just be like, yeah, you know what? It's cool. Like, you don't gotta pay me for like 10 years, but after that, let me see that money once a year.
I mean, can we say at this point they played at the same time? Is Bobby Bonilla the anti-Lenny Dykstra as far as investment advice? I think Bobby Bonilla, I'll trust you with my portfolio. Lenny Dykstra, as we've discussed, can legally not be slandered because he has a bad reputation.
Also, I will not hear any ill words of Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, I mean, that's a man of respect. It's a sound financial mind.
Yeah, that's true. He is the anti-Lenny Dykstra. Wow, I never thought of it.
And to answer Daniel's earlier comment, we may, that could be, we will have to send him a trophy or a plaque or something, letting him know that he has taken over the title. It won't be this freaking guy. It'll be the Rob Manfred of the day or something like that. We'll switch it to that, maybe. That would be actually a pretty cool ceremony if we could set that up. So maybe I'll get in contact, with MLBHQ and see if I could send a little token, trophy his way. Because as far as the comedy gold of this freaking guy, he is up there, man. Yeah,
but Manfred's made it clear how he fears about trophies. It's just it's just a piece of tin, just a piece of scrap. He doesn't care.
A piece of metal. That's right. That's true. So maybe we wouldn't have a problem with
it. Well, also, I see we're coming up against it here. Before we do sign off, I did also just want to say, as Ronnie and I are both big comedy fans, I did want to say, rest in peace to the great Carl Reiner, who we lost earlier this week. Great actor, great director. If you've never seen The Jerk, he directed that one. Absolutely, that's a must-watch. So I just did want to say that before we got off the air here.
100% there with you. I know, Mel Brooks had some nice words to say. Obviously, besides being longtime partners,
they're best friends.
Friends, and just a huge loss to any comedy fans or just movie fans out there. So. Rest in peace, obviously, Mr. Reiner. But we will get out of the way here for Ask Auntie Bev Anything. Stay tuned here. That's coming up. Tyler, any last word?
Keep the fire. Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.
That's a buzzer. It's good.